Hello, I'm Morwenna Rogers. I'm going to talk to you about scoping searches. By the end of this module, you will understand why we do scoping searches as part of a systematic review and learn about some of the resources that can be used to carry out scoping searches. So why would we bother doing scoping searches when, after all, we're going to search extensively as part of the review? Well, here are a few reasons. The most important thing to consider is whether this work has already been done. It is really important that this is identified as early as possible, before a protocol has been written. If the review has been done before, it's not necessarily the end of the world. Often there are additional questions that need answering, outcomes that haven't been properly investigated, or different interventions. These are all areas that can be identified at the scoping search stage. The first thing to get right is the review question. This will depend on the research that has gone before. Scoping searches can help give your question a focus into the unknowns that need research in order to find the answer. For example, what interventions have been studied before and for what population or conditions? What outcomes are there? This information will help to inform the review protocol. It is important to identify related work for background reading. You can identify authors that are prominent in the field, find background information for your protocol, and start to build up a library of references for the final write-up. This is also important. If the research question is too broad and the team is very small, there may not be enough capacity to deal with the screening load, data extraction, and synthesis that will arise from it. Quick scoping searches can give some indication of the number of relevant studies, as well as the number of records you can expect to download for screening when you come to do your main searches. Scoping searches now will save time later. You will get an idea of key terms, phrases and subject headings from the relevant papers that you find, and can start to build up a skeleton search, which you can save and use later when developing your main searches. Finally, you can use your key papers as a test later on to make sure that they appear when you do run your main searches. I find that scoping searches are best carried out by looking for the highest quality evidence first. It can help to consider the pyramid of evidence. As you can see at the top of the pyramid, there is the least amount of evidence, but it is the highest quality. If you find a large number of systematic reviews on your subject, you can be sure that there will be far more primary research studies and maybe an indication that your question is too broad. Here are some resources for carrying out scoping searches. I look for guidelines and systematic reviews first, and these are easily searched for via the TRIP database, which I'll come to shortly, and NICE evidence. I will also always search the Cochrane Library for systematic reviews. The Cochrane Library is particularly useful because it has the highest quality systematic reviews in its database CDSR, and the highest quality primary research in the form of randomised controlled trials, which are in the central database. If you haven't already found a lot of studies, you might want to do a more targeted search on the main research databases like Medline or PubMed. Finally, I would also suggest looking at Prospero to see whether any similar systematic review protocols have been published already. A quick couple of words about the TRIP database and the NICE evidence. Both are really easy to search and therefore good starting places. They both have a focus on good evidence, so you can be confident that you are finding studies from reliable sources. There is quite a lot of overlap, but because of differences in the way results are ordered and organised, it is often easier to search both simply, rather than pick one and try and run an exhaustive search on it. I mentioned the Cochrane Library earlier. This provides access to 6 databases, which are searched concurrently. Results are then categorised by the databases they came from. The most important ones to know about are the CDSR and Central. DARE and NHS-EAD, unfortunately, are no longer funded, but you can still search them up until mid-2015. So a quick summary. Remember to carry out scoping searches before the protocol and to help refine the research question. Look for the highest quality evidence first and save your searches and results. This will help you save time later. Thank you very much for listening.